being with
Good
us.
morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to talk about the company of the future and what that means for us at DSM. I have 3 areas that I want to talk about today, and I want to start by just giving a little bit of background on DSM. So DSM used to stand for Dutch State Coal Mining Company. So we used to be in coal, and today DSM stands for Do Something Meaningful. We are a health, nutrition, and biosciences company, and so we're very focused on health and wellness. That's a big transformation, right? How do we go from coal to health and wellness? So that's why I want to talk about organizational transformation today. And something that enables that is psychological safety. And then, of course, I want to talk about how women support women. And I'm so happy that we have a small delegate of DSM women here today. And so introduce yourselves to them, and they're doing great work to support our women's network. So I want to start with this quote. A leader is anyone who takes responsibility for finding the potential in people and processes and who has the courage to develop that potential. This is important for organizational transformation because it has to be leadership enabling people and process. It can't be or, right? So unlocking the potential, having the courage, people and processes. So I'm going to touch on organizational transformation here. There's 6 components that we constantly think about. We're in the middle of a transformation right now in my iHealth division, and we're in a huge transformation at Total DSM as we're merging with a company for Manish. So there's no end to our transformation in sight, and I really want to speak about this today because as we think about the company of the future, we're never really going to get there. It's going to constantly evolve. So thinking about sense of urgency to start with, what is the timeline going to be for a transformation? Do you have a goal by 2023, by 2025? Some of the colleagues here talked about sustainability goals at certain points in time. So really having a sense of urgency to understand when are you going to enable the full transformation. And you really need a guiding coalition, or as we talked about yesterday, a Senate in Rome, a Senate of women, a Senate of leaders, so a growth transformation office, things like that where people are laser focused on the complete transformation. And they have to have a bold vision. What do you want to achieve? Do you want to get to $1 billion by 2025? Is your goal to get to 100 million? So what's that goal going to be? What's the vision that you're going to inspire your colleagues with to make sure that they're all in on what they're trying to achieve? And you have to do that through clear communication. And something else that Brené Brown says a lot, I'm very fond of her as an author, she says that clarity is kindness. Right? So making sure that people really understand what the goal is and what you're trying to accomplish, then you're being really kind to your employees. And then removing obstacles. So in any transformation, there's going to be people challenges, process challenges, understanding challenges, and how you can make sure that you're removing those obstacles for colleagues who are taking each step to unlock the transformation is going to be really important. And then celebrating colleagues. There is no win that is too small. So thinking about the progress from short-term wins to long-term wins, that's really going to be important. And all of this is done through continuous improvement. So each one of these 6 steps, how you start is not going to be how you finish. So each one is going to need to have some type of improvement along the way. Now, how do you transform? How do you get all of the colleagues on board with something that's going to be a significant change? Vulnerability sounds like truth, and it feels like courage. Truth and courage aren't always comfortable, but they're never weakness. And we've heard a little bit about that in the last 2 days when we talk about self-esteem and self-worth. How are you being vulnerable with your team and with yourself to make sure that people are comfortable and that they have psychological safety? And so that's what brings me to the second topic that I want to talk about, psychological safety to unlock an organizational transformation. 6 components here, all of which outline to the word safety. So first, starting with security. Do I feel comfortable at my company? Do I feel like my leaders really understand what I'm trying to do, and do I understand them? Is there consistency? Is there transparency? That's what we think about when we think about security. Autonomy. Am I free to do what I need to do? Am I being micromanaged? Am I being told, here's what you're going to do, and here's how you need to do it? Do I have the autonomy and freedom to make sure that I'm enabling the transformation? And fairness. Do I see a consistent approach to how colleagues and the company look at process and look at people? Is that in a fair way? Then esteem. This was such a great topic that we talked about yesterday. How do you think about yourself? How do you think about others and how they perceive you? Are you comparing yourself to others? I think this is such an important topic, and if you're not feeling strong and supported in a transformation, it's just that much harder. So to do that, you really need the trust, and trust, I think, is probably the most important thing in psychological safety. Do you feel trusted by others, and do others feel trusted by you? And then you. What are you doing to bring to the table the transformation? And really, this transformations touch every single part of businesses. So if that's supply chain, if that's the sales team, the marketing team, making sure that every single contributor and colleague in the organization feels like they can bring forward what needs to get done to unlock the transformation. So with all that being said, I want to shift gears to DEI and what we're thinking about at DSM in terms of inclusion and diversity. And I talked about organizational transformation and psychological safety because in the last 2 years, our DEI mission has really unfolded. And it's because we have psychological safety with our leaders at the highest level to say to them, we need to do this, we need to do that, and this is what supports our teams and our people. And so with that, throughout the pandemic, we unlocked these 5 pillars that are focused on gender, our REN pillar, which is race, ethnicity, and nationality, disability, generations, and LGBTQ. In our gender pillar, we have our own WIN network, which stands for Women Inspired Network, and we have a leadership team at the very top with an executive committee sponsor, Philip, and it was intentional that we have a male sponsor, right? So having male allies is critical to support women. And he is our executive committee sponsor. Gabriella is here today. She is our pillar lead for the entire gender pillar. And then we have region chairs for every single one of our regions because rolling out a global ERG isn't really super efficient when there's different needs across different countries and regions. And so I'm happy to be the North America chair for DSM, and then we have ones across all regions. And with this setup, something that we're really proud of is the global commitments that we've made. And so 30% by 2025, right, so I said we need to have a timeline. By 2025, we will have 30% of women at the executive leadership committee and on global leadership teams. And how we're enabling that is mentorship and thinking about how we retain and attract women who want to be at DSM, who feel like their voices are heard, who feel like we're leaning into their growth. So each time a woman stands up for herself without knowing it and possibly without claiming it, she's standing up for all women. And so on the previous page, when I talked about the women who are leading these groups, they stand up for themselves all the time, they stand up for each other, but it also challenges other areas of the organization to do more and to be better, and it challenges other companies as well. And so I want to shift gears to talk about women supporting women and how we've thought about our global vision for our ERG through these 3 lenses. And so I've tried to implement a tie-in here to our theme for this week on inclusion, joy, and regeneration. And the first 5, so I'm going to wait to talk about regeneration. The first 5 under inclusion and joy, these are our visions. We want to make sure that women are motivated to be part of DSM, that they feel included and can bring their authentic selves every single day, that their strengths and contributions are recognized, much like we talked about yesterday, Roman women who are able to communicate their successes and their contributions in a public way, having strong networks or strong Senate, and then making sure that we engage and retain women and that they recommend working at DSM. I met a couple of you yesterday, and you said, oh, wow, you work at DSM, and you were so excited to hear about the company, and that made me so proud to work at DSM. So that's really important, too. But as we think about regeneration, these are 3 areas that we're not doing perfectly. So I'm not here to say we have it completely figured out. These are 3 areas that we need to think about a little bit more, and that's continuous improvement on reevaluating our policies, enabling policies more broadly across regions, and then work-life integration, which I think is on theme with sustainability. So sustainability isn't just about plastic or net zero carbon and waste and whatnot. It's sustainable living, which we've also touched on. What does the work-life integration look like? Because women often feel that they have to have an output that's 2x or 3x more than men just to be at the same level in terms of recognition. So we really want to think about that. And then supporting women through life stages. So we talked about health and wellness in the beginning. DSM is a company that has products in the health and wellness space backed by science that support women of all ages. so that can be prenatal, that can be vaginal health, urinary health, prostate health, as well as menopause care. And we think about the impact levels in terms of individual, organization, and societal. So I'll touch on societal for a minute. In the United States, many of you know the Roe versus Wade turnover that happened a few months ago, and how reproductive rights were taken away from many women. And so we answered that in 24 hours. Our president of DSM enabled a policy in North America where we were going to fund any costs related to women who needed to travel to different states to take care of their reproductive health. So talk about a company that stands behind women and takes action quickly. We did that in 24 hours. Thank you. And then in terms of career life stage, we really think about female journey across their early, mid, and late career, and something that we're instituting next month. In October next month is Menopause Awareness Month. October 18th is Worldwide Menopause Day. We're global leaders in menopause care through two brands, Estrogen and Phenology, and we are having a WIN program with our own ERG that's going to be broadcast to our entire colleague workforce, and we're talking about biases in the workplace towards women of a certain age, and just menopause in the workplace in general, and how we're thinking about supporting our women. So we really think about it across all impact levels and life stages. And then women supporting women. I love this quote. This is from an article from Forbes called Power of the Pack. Collaboration over competition is critical. Women who collaborate more together have more executive positions, greater authority, higher pay, and a larger network. So all of us collaborating this week, so happy to be doing that because we're really helping each other. And then none of this would be possible without success measurement. We talk about this a lot. We can just say, here's a commitment or here's what we want to do. If we don't track the KPIs, but more importantly, take action against them, it really doesn't mean anything. So this is a really critical component to everything that we do. And I would just leave you with this. I love to have a call to action for all of you. In terms of inclusion, how do you want to be more vulnerable with your teams? What can you do to showcase that vulnerability? How can you tell another woman how much you appreciate them and why? And then I would love for you all to think about how you can reward yourself. What are you really proud of? Write it down. You're proud of standing up for yourself. You're proud of standing up for others or something else in your organization. I hope you can all think about that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.